कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी यशोधानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोधानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी यशोधानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोधानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोधानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव Kunj Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Radha Radhanata, Radha Radhanata Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astottara Satasi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Dhama Ki Mayapur Navadip Dhama Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitai Gaura Premanande Shri Balaram Purnima Mahamahotsava Ki, the most auspicious appearance day of Shri Balaram Ji Ki Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Shri Giriraj Govardhana Ki Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So wonderful to be gathered here with you all this morning on this very auspicious occasion to honor and celebrate the divine appearance of Sri Balaramji, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who made his appearance on this day in the holy abode of Gokul Mahavan in Brajabhumi some 5,000 years ago. Of course, that is the Lord's manifest pastimes in the material realm. And we understand that Lord Balaram is the original, first expansion of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, who is the absolute truth. Of course, Krishna, we understand, is the absolute truth. But absolute truth includes Balaram. The absolute truth includes Srimati Radharani. The absolute truth includes everything. Krishna cannot be separated from its parts and parcels. So together with us, the manifestations of Krishna, the energies of Krishna, they are all considered the absolute truth. So Krishna and Balaram themselves are considered to be the supreme absolute truth. So today, this morning, we want to spend a short while discussing a few topics related to Lord Balaram and how he manifests in our lives, and maybe discuss and explore some ways in which we could utilize or optimize the Lord's manifestation in our lives. He is there, whether we like it or not. Generally, people don't like it, that the Lord is present for the most part. But devotees, we at least have a theoretic understanding to like the Lord's presence in our lives. So this discussion hopefully will help enable us with some ideas, some thoughts on how to optimize His presence in our lives. Because whether we like it, He's there, or not, He's there. So I hate to say it, better make the best use of a good bargain, right? Make the best use of a good bargain. So yeah, we'll discuss these topics today. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langaite Girim Jatkripatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. On occasions like this, the appearance day of the Supreme Lord, appearance day of Lord Balaram, we find generally Prabhupada very nicely established the position of that personality, in this case Balaram, or in the case of Krishna, to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Today we are not observing the appearance day, happy birthday of some ordinary person. Get some candles, cut a cake, may you never take birth again type of singing. No, we're discussing someone, the Supreme Someone, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything manifests, the absolute truth. At the very outset of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described, Janmadi Asya Yataha. The Supreme Absolute Truth is He from whom everything manifests. Everything is born. Everything is maintained from that person as well. Janmadi Asya Yataha. So not just some ordinary person, the Supreme Absolute Truth. In the case of Sri Balaram, the first expansion of Krishna from the spiritual realm, comes Lord Narayan, the original Narayan, from whom he expands into the material realm, or sort of the material realm, into Mahavishnu, or Karanadakshaya Vishnu, from whom, just by his breathing, everything in the material world manifests. From the pores of his skin comes out bubbles. And within each bubble is a universe. Can you imagine the size of such a person? Our universe is said to be one of the smaller ones that are emanating from the pores of Mahavishnu's body. So that's an expansion of 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 Lord Balaram. And from that expansion, Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. The Vishnu that generally Hindus in this world are associated with, they understand. From him, Lord Brahma was born from the navel. And then further, expanding from that is Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, the agency through which all the incarnations of Krishna appear, and who is situated in each and every atom of this universe. I even heard once, not just in each and every atom in the universe, but even in between the atoms. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is situated. And, very importantly to us, he's situated in each of our hearts as Paramatma. Hrideshe Arjunatistati. So this is the God, this is the absolute truth about whom we are discussing today, whom we are worshipping today. Because oftentimes, we need to get this clear, because oftentimes you'll find so much of debate on who is God. Anybody can spring up, say they are God, or their groups of followers will declare them to be God. Of course, when Srila Prabhupada was present, there were so many examples of those all over the world, people professing to be God. This one professed, and they title themselves Bhagavan such and such, or this such and such. And one of Prabhupada's main missions was to smash these pretenders. One Srila Prabhupada in 1975, when he was visiting, I always get confused about China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, but one of those places. Maybe it was Hong Kong. It was easier to get into. Maybe it was Japan. Okay, anyway, one of those places. And a Time magazine reporter interviewed Prabhupada. They were interviewing the then, I think, 100 most influential people in the world at that time. And they selected Prabhupada to be interviewed. And then they asked Prabhupada a question, what do you think, Swamiji, of Guru Maharaj Ji? At that time, Guru Maharaj Ji, who people in South Africa may remember, older people may remember as the boy guru. Anybody remember the boy guru? He was a teenager basically that was elevated to the position of God. We'll tell you just now by whom he was given that position. So Prabhupada was asked, what do you think about this person, Guru Maharaj Ji? And Prabhupada said, the question is not to consider whether he is God, but whether he is dog. So it was very juicy news for the newspaper. So when they came to Prabhupada's excerpt, or the part describing Prabhupada in that magazine, they titled it Trouble in Nirvana, meaning the spiritualists are fighting amongst themselves, right? It was interesting, right? And Prabhupada's point was, he is claiming to be God, but he's actually cheating the people. But when he meets Krishna, he will realize that Krishna is a bigger cheat than him, and he will lose everything. And in a short while later, we find this Guru Maharaj Ji, he got implicated in some affairs with his European secretaries. This teenager Indian boy got these European secretaries, so he was having an affair with some of them. And then his mother heard about it, and she was very upset. So she demoted him from the position of God and elevated his younger brother to the position of God. Such is the power of mother. She can make you God. One of my devotee friends would tell me, actually, my father is firmly convinced that I'm God. I said, what do you mean? He said, every morning when I'm in the bathroom, my father comes and bangs on the door and he says, oh God, are you still in there? Get out of there. Yeah. So we have to be very clear on who is God, not just some pretender. And Prabhupada said, in India you'll find a God, an incarnation of God, at every street corner. That's how popular becoming God is. Everybody wants to become God. This is the thing. So people are easily misled. But what is the standard of being God? You got to be, one of your expansions is Narayan, one of your expansions is Garbhodakashahi Vishnu, is Karanadakshahi Vishnu, from whom everything emanates. That is the standard of being God. But people are so easily misled that they are willing to go to an imitation God. They're so enamored by some flowing robes, sometimes big beards, long hair, looking up into the sky, and not even saying anything. I was in Santa Barbara once, many years ago, and there was anyway, maybe I shouldn't mention the names because they kind of connected in some remote way to the movement, and devotees connect to them in some positive way. But there was this, at a theater, the famous, I think it's called the Arlington Theater in Santa Barbara, advertising these two spiritualists from India, so-and-so Das and so-and-so Das. But the bulk of the program, maybe half the program, was the two spiritualists sitting on stage, and the whole place was silent. For 45 minutes to an hour, everyone was silent. And afterwards, everybody was like, wow, amazing, silence. So people get confused. And Srila Prabhupada said, he gave the example of a man in Calcutta who could perfectly mimic the barking of a dog. And people would pay good money to go and hear this man bark like a dog. So people will pay so much of money to see the imitation when something authentic is available, like in the temple where you can serve like that. Or in the heart, the Paramatma. People will pay good money to see the imitation. So this is the criteria for being God. And that is Balaramji. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's described right in the beginning. Sankarshana karana toyashayi garbo dashayi cha payobdishaye sheshascha yasyang sakalas nitya ramascha sharanam mamastu. That may Lord Balaram, Sri Nityananda, be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshanag, and all the Vishnus, the one who lies on the Karana ocean, on the Garbhodaka ocean, and the Milk ocean, these are all his plenary expansions, or the portions of his plenary expansions. So this is the standard of who God is. And this is Balaram. Balaram also is known as Bhagavan, the possessor of all the opulences in full. And part of that opulence that he has is that he is the greatest of enjoyers. Krishna, we know, is the greatest enjoyer. But since there's no difference between Krishna and Balaram, we find that Balaram is also known to be the greatest enjoyer. But not specifically in the mood and the way of Lord Krishna. We'll discuss his nature of enjoying in a little bit. So, while we can appreciate this understanding of who Balaram is, this tattva, or this ontological understanding of who Lord Balaram is, as the absolute truth, there is another very, very important perspective from which to understand Lord Balaram. Yes, he is eternally non-different from Krishna, and we honor and worship him as such. But this aspect which we want to explore today is especially relevant to us as practicing devotees. One Srila Prabhupada asked the devotees, or rather mentioned to the devotees, that if you approach Krishna and Balaram, and if you ask Krishna, who is God? Krishna will say, he'll point to himself and say, I am God. And then Prabhupada said, if you go to Lord Balaram and ask Lord Balaram, who is God? Balaram will point to Krishna and say, Krishna is God. But he is God. Balaram is God. But in the presence of Krishna, he never sees himself as such. He sees Krishna as God. Why is that? Because Balaram is completely satisfied and pleased with the understanding that Krishna is God and I am God's servant. I am Krishna's servant. This is his greatest pleasure. This is his most cherished position, is to be seen and noted as the servant of Krishna. Shri Shri Krishna Balarama ki, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki. And what does he get out of this? Sarva Rupa Ashvadaya Krishna Sevananda. He is constantly immersed in tasting the bliss of serving Krishna. Now this is an interesting statement, tasting bliss in service. In the material understanding, there is no bliss to taste in service, right? From a materialistic perspective. It's like, even in the hierarchy of social order, to be a servant is not something we look for. I mean, if many of you are parents, if you hear, oh my God, if Maithili Mataji hears, Rukmini graduated with chemical engineering, you did honors and masters too, and she is now a servant in someone's home. Imagine, we paid so much of money to send you to university. You're just wasting our good, everything. It's ridiculous, We'll never accept that someone could be a servant, considering the materialistic hierarchy. But Balaram, the highest in all of hierarchies, he is relishing Sarva Rupe Asvadaya Krishna Sevanan. He's relishing the taste of serving Krishna, the bliss of serving Krishna. So when one is properly situated in proper understanding of one's position as Jiva Atma, not this body, not this mind, not this intelligence, not the false ego, but truly a part and parcel of Krishna. Unless one is situated in that position, that understanding, one will always be afflicted with this disease of wanting to be God, or at least to be enjoying like God. Now when one has that disease, it's actually a very frustrating condition. Very, very frustrating. Because one's diseased desires always ends up in frustration and suffering. It always ends up. There is no example in the history of creation, in history of all time, that someone has enjoyed themselves while pretending to be God. It's never ended up. There's no record anywhere. But the Lord, the Supreme Absolute Truth, manifests as Lord Balaram to show us, to prove to us that the position of the servant is the most glorious position. Aren't you happy, Maithili Mataji? Your daughter's a servant, a menial servant, who always listens to whatever I ask of her at the temple. I'm setting up for some big project. So Balaram's position, he's showing us that the most glorious position is to be that of a servant, where we will taste the topmost transcendental nectar, this bliss, seva rasa. So if we ever needed some encouragement of, show me an example of someone who's enjoying seva ras, the taste of service, then we can just look at Balaram. He's so happy. He's so blissful. He has no conception of himself other than being Krishna's servant. And how is he Krishna's servant? In every situation. Absolutely every situation. It's described, he is the Dham. Where we're sitting is Lord Balaram's expansion. He is the altar. He is Krishna's arctic paraphernalia. He is Krishna's clothes. He is Krishna's shoes. He expands himself as Krishna's bed and pillow and blankets. He wants to do anything and everything. Actually, any person who is serving Krishna, to be serving Krishna, you are empowered by Lord Balaram. Balaram is investing himself in you in some way or the other. Because service to Krishna is the domain of Lord Balaram. It's the domain of Lord Balaram. So he's the best example that can encourage us. Can encourage us. Even Krishna is so encouraged by this example of tasting the nectar of service, that he is known to be the greatest of enjoyers. That's why Krishna exists, to enjoy. That's the whole purpose of his existence. But when he sees that Balaram, and headed by Lord Balaram, all the great devotees are enjoying so much, he gets into a doubt. What is it that they have that I am not tasting? What is it that they have? So then he decides he also wants to become a servant. And Krishna doesn't just become any servant, he becomes the greatest servant. He takes on the mood of the greatest servant, Radharani. And he becomes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is such a wonderful example. But even after hearing this today on Balaram's appearance day, maybe we'll go back home later or tomorrow. What will happen to us? We'll forget that example. Because this is the nature of the material world. It has this throwing and covering potency that causes us to forget our resolve, causes us to forget our commitment and our position as servants to Krishna. Forget our motivation as devotees. And we fall back into the diseased condition of thinking, I am an enjoyer. So to stay free from being covered like that, we need spiritual strength. And that strength comes from Lord Balaram. Nayam Atma Bala Hinena Labhya. To progress in spiritual life, one needs spiritual strength, Bala. One needs strength, not material strength in any way. There was one famous Swami of one of the most famous Hindu organizations in India that once declared, eat meat, become strong, and then practice spiritual life. Because without strength, quoting this verse from the Mundaka Upanishad, Nayam Atma Bala Hinena Labhya, without strength you cannot understand Atma Tattva, understand Divya Gyan. So if you have to become strong by eating meat, what a bogus proposition. Thinking that material strength can give you realization of the self. No, spiritual strength. Spiritual strength. Because if material strength was what was required, we shouldn't be celebrating Balaram's appearance day at the temple. We should all be gathered at the Virgin Active or one of the famous gyms out there, right? No, it's spiritual strength. And where does the spiritual strength come from? Yes, the foundation of it is Balaram, Lord Balaram. But how do we attract that spiritual strength? By Shraddha and Sadhana. By faith and spiritual practice, regulated spiritual practice, not by bodily strength. A committed devotee, a strong, focused devotee, will develop spiritual strength by developing faith. And faith develops by hearing about Krishna and Balaram, and by associating with devotees who have faith. That's how faith develops. And that, in turn, that faith is then supported by good sadhana. So how do you develop strength again, spiritual strength? Shraddha and sadhana, faith and spiritual practice. And this sadhana, this spiritual practice is regular. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it's described, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Nityam. Regular means every day. Not once a year on Janmashtami. One of my pet things to point out. How many of you have been here for Mangalarti on Janmashtami? How many of you have been here on Mangalarti the day before Janmashtami? So not that type of nitya, not that type of regular, but everyday spiritual practice. Whether it's at the temple or at home, according to your capacity, some regular practice of devotional service, of hearing and chanting, associating with Krishna, is essential. Just as to maintain a good, healthy lifestyle, one needs to have daily good diet. That's the wrong congregation I'm talking to talk about a healthy diet. Right? I'm one to speak, cholesterol of over 7, but anyway. But a proper diet. So likewise, if we want to maintain good spiritual strength, we need to have a healthy diet of faith and a healthy diet of spiritual practice daily. And that's what this temple is for. That's what the ISKCON movement is for, is to provide a facility where devotees can develop faith through hearing about Krishna and through associating with strong devotees, and to provide a facility where sadhana can be practiced. So this movement is all about providing facility for people to develop spiritual strength. In a sense, this ISKCON movement is an expansion of Lord Balaram. That's what it is, actually. Because that's what it's there for. Not to provide some religious experience to make ourselves feel, I've ticked that box now, I'm religious today. Or month of Govinda will come, I'm religious for this. Or Kartik is coming, I'm religious for this day, and whatever. No. It's to provide an ongoing platform for maintaining and developing spiritual strength, Lord Balaram. So when we develop the spiritual strength, maintain it and grow it, then our taste for the mood of service will increase. But if we are not constantly doing that, then it will wane. It will wane. So this is the mood of Balaram. As we were saying, he's eager to serve Krishna in all situations, in all rasas, in all relationships. He's everywhere. In this regard also, this mood of service, Lord Balaram is also very relevant to us because he is known as the Adi Guru, the original spiritual master. One Srila Prabhupada asked the devotees, what is the duty of the spiritual master? And Prabhupada answered himself that the duty of the spiritual master is to serve Krishna. And then Prabhupada further asked, what is the duty of the disciple? And Prabhupada answered again, the duty of the disciple is to assist the spiritual master. And Prabhupada gave the example that to clean the temple room floor, whose responsibility is it? Whose duty is it? Whose duty? Radhesham's duty? No. I mean, Radhesham Prabhu is one of the workers at the temple. He also cleans not Radhesham. Whose duty is it to clean the temple room floor? The spiritual master. Prabhupada said that. So next time Guru Maharaj comes, Guru Maharaj, here's bucket and mop. Prabhupada said, the duty is to clean the floor. But what is our duty as disciples of the Guru is to assist the spiritual master. And the best servant of the spiritual master is to do the service before the spiritual master has to think about it. So next time, devotees, you see anything needed cleaning in the temple room, before your spiritual master has to come and do it, which is his duty, please do it. The duty of the spiritual master is to disseminate spiritual knowledge. One of the main activities of Srila Prabhupada. There's a book office full of maybe 35,000 books. Before Guru Maharaj comes back to Durban to distribute those books, what should we do proactively? We should open that book room, take out the books and distribute them. There is tons of prasadam to be distributed. Whose service is it to distribute the prasadam? The spiritual masters. Before he has to do it, who should do it? We should do it. Like that, we have so many conditioned souls out there to connect with. Let us all do that, representing the spiritual master. So you'll find all service to Krishna is the duty of the spiritual master. Everything that you can possibly conceive of. So there are some services that we are naturally inclined to, and some services we may not be. That's all right. At the position that we are, we may have those inclinations. Find those things and do it as a service to the spiritual master in our assistance to him. This is most important. So just as Lord Balaram is like the foundation or the cornerstone of facilitating Krishna's pastimes, he's doing everything for Krishna. Like I said, he's the Dham where Krishna manifests all his pastimes. So too is faith and service to the spiritual master the cornerstone of developing our progress on the path of bhakti, of developing a relationship with Krishna. We will see that as we develop spiritual strength by the mercy of the spiritual master and by the grace of Lord Balaram, we will find ourselves, because initially we will find that we have some conditions in service. I don't like to do this, I like to do that. But as we develop spiritual strength, we'll find that we will be prepared to do anything for Krishna. Absolutely anything. We will find ourselves progressing from being sunshine devotees or fair weather type devotees who only wants to serve when it's nice out there, when the circumstances are nice, the temperature is 22.5 degrees, perfect light breeze. No. When we move on in spiritual strength, we'll find it doesn't matter. Hail, sun, rain, wind, it doesn't matter. We want to serve Krishna, whatever the circumstances are. This is what spiritual strength means. Doesn't matter whether our situation is difficult or easy, even safe or dangerous, even pleasurable or painful, we will be eager to serve. And this is the ideal that Lord Balaram set. This is the ideal. And we find that in the example of Balaram's most celebrated expansion as Lakshmanji. He didn't have to go to the forest. There wasn't a bro code that says he had to go. Yes, Sita Devi was married. They are one. Sita and Rama are one. So in one sense she felt, of course it was out of love, but it was her duty also. But Lakshman didn't have to go. He didn't have to go. But he decided to go. And look at what arduous circumstances he endured. Do you all know Balaram, from the time he left Ayodhya, for 14 years he never slept. You'll know that? Because he stood guard day and night for the protection of Sita Ram. Of course, what's her name? Lakshman's wife? Urmila. Yes, she slept. There's that pastime. She slept for Lakshman. But Lakshman didn't sleep. This was his dedication. He never had any comforts, and he did some of the most difficult, painful services. Like the Agni Pariksha. He had to create a huge fire for Sita Devi to walk through. Can you imagine how that hurt him to do that? He knew her purity. And then he had to take her as her charioteer to banish her from Ayodhya. Such painful services. He thought, this is too much. In the mood of pastime, this is too much. Next time I'm coming, I'm the elder brother. So I don't have to do all this stuff. But he was prepared to do anything and everything for the service of Krishna. So as we develop strength by the mercy of the spiritual master and by the grace of Lord Balaram, we will find ourselves eager to do anything and everything. But we are focusing on ourselves. It's not that we look at somebody else, oh, what kind of a devotee are you? You're not open to doing anything and everything to Krishna? No, we're looking to ourselves in this regard. Just another thought about about Balaram's position. It's described, this is just sort of an aside, that Krishna, of course, is the most beautiful. Most beautiful. That's one of the 6 opulences. He possesses beauty in full. But Balaram also exhibits that potency, that opulence. Full beauty. Other incarnations are like, who else is it? Vamanadev and Mohini Murti. They exhibited Krishna's beauty in full. So Balaram's also one of them. Lord Balaram, he exhibited many, many amazing pastimes. A few of those are recounted in Srimad Bhagavatam. And some of them relate to the killing of demons. And these killing of demons, they have they're historic by nature, of course, it really happened, but they also have a deep internal significance and relevance to us as practicing devotees. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in a wonderful essay about the anarthas that the demons that Krishna and Balaram kill, describes, that the demons that Krishna and Balaram killed represent certain anarthas, unwanted desires, unwanted tendencies, and dispositions in the heart that are not favorable for bhakti. And we thought we'll just share one pastime related to Balaram killing a demon and how we can use that pastime to take out something that is very unfavorable in our hearts. We find that in Vrindavan Dham, Krishna and Balaram, they would go out daily. As soon as they were eligible to, they would go out daily into the forest, herding the cows, and they would perform the most amazing, sporting, playful pastimes with each other. Lots of competitions, wrestling matches, eating competitions, swimming competitions, so many different things they would do. Every day was just a new experience of fun and laughter with Krishna and Balaram. They would engage in these playful pastimes of Sakya Ras. And one day a demon sent by Kamsa by the name of Pralamba was a very evil and envious type of demon. Huge, grotesque personality. And like many of these demons, they had an ability to transform themselves at will and mimic anybody. They were like what they call in nowadays movie language shapeshifters. They would just adjust and even mimic the clothes and complexion and even the style of speaking. So this Pralamba Asura, he did his research. He was very intelligent, very, very clever. He did his research and he found that one of the cowherd boys on that particular day wasn't able to go out with Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys. He had to stay back for some duties, household duties. So Pralambasura, what did he do? He perfectly disguised himself as that particular cowherd boy. In dress, in features, in style of speaking, in habits, everything. He was completely undercover. Like how terrorists are, they go undercover and they try to show themselves, pass themselves as one of the normal people, and they are the most dangerous. So Pralambasura, he's like the original terrorist, right? The original terrorist. So this demon, he did his research, and he came to play. And Krishna and Balaram, they welcomed him. Oh yes, our friend has come, wonderful. You didn't have to stay at home, wonderful, come. Krishna actually knew what was going on. But he decided, okay, let's just play along a little bit. Let's just play along. You see, because Krishna sometimes, in relation to us, he will play along with our Maya for sometimes. He'll let it go sometimes. But we must never think that, hey, I'm doing this Maya, I'm doing this nonsense. Krishna's unaware of it. Or maybe Krishna doesn't mind because he's letting me do it. But don't be fooled by this patience of Krishna, or Krishna allowing us to be fooled by our Maya. One must never think that they are getting away with whatever nonsense activities they are doing. Thinking that I can still do these things and I can still be a devotee. Just see, my neck beads haven't fallen off. My dhoti is still on. My tilak is still there. My sika is still there. No. These are all external representations of what a devotee means. So yes, Krishna welcomed him, Balaram as well. And Krishna, knowing what was going to happen, he decided, okay, let's have a competition. And they separated into two groups. The cowherd boys elected captains for each group. I can't remember what game. Maybe it was a wrestling. I can't remember what game they played. But Krishna was the captain of one team. And who do you think was the captain of the other team? Balaram. Whenever they elected captains for the teams, it was always Krishna and Balaram, the favorites of the cowherd boys. And it so happened that Pralambasura thought, Krishna, he's actually more formidable in my view. So I don't want to go against Krishna. So let me be on his side. So it so happened that the prize of the competition was whoever loses has to carry the victors on their shoulders. So in this case, Krishna and Pralambasura's side lost. So Krishna ended up carrying one of the cowherd boys, Sri Rama, on his shoulders, and Pralamba had to carry Lord Balarama on his shoulders. So they went to Bandiravat, at Bandiravan, this beautiful banyan tree on the bank of the Jamuna, and from there they had to carry the other to a specific distance. So they went. Krishna was carrying Sri Rama, other cowherd boys were carrying others, and Pralamba was carrying Lord Balaram. But Pralamba didn't stop at the designated place. He continued going and faster and faster. And the cowherd boys are calling, where are you all going? Come back. And at that point, Balaram understood, what is going on with my cowherd, my Gopa friend? Something is wrong here. He's actually a demon taking me away. So at that point, Lord Balaram decided to become as heavy as Mount Sumeru, the greatest of all mountains in all of creation. Now this Pralamba wasn't just an ordinary demon. I was seeing one of the devotees' children yesterday carrying a backpack to school. She's like 9 years old, and I tried to lift that backpack up. It was a struggle. These poor children have to carry. And I was thinking, how is that possible? But Pralamba is no ordinary demon. Lord Balaram became as heavy as Mount Sumeru, but he was still running. Still running. That was his power. And he became huge. He transformed himself into his original feature, like a grotesque demon with fiery eyes, sharp teeth, flaming hair. Just grotesque in every way. And started flying into the sky even. And at that point, Lord Balaram, sensing the anxiety of the devotees, thought, okay, this is enough. And with one smash of his fist, hit the demon's head. And the demon was killed, and they landed back onto the ground. And everyone was celebrating the victory of Lord Balaram like this. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, on commenting on this pastime, he explains that Pralambasura represent that very unwanted anartha, that desire, that tendency in our heart of lusty desires. Lusty for sex and lusty after the desire for name and fame, personal gain and honor. That is there, deeply situated in the heart. And this anartha we find even in the context of this pastime. It's always trying to take away our inclination to serve Krishna and Balaram. Always trying to take that inclination for service away. So one has to be very careful. We find that in this day and age of Kali Yuga, people are so covered, so illusioned that they think this anartha is actually something to be celebrated. People's quality, people's progress is determined by their lusty inclinations for sex life and for personal gain and honor. If you look at all the advertisement today, we are trained and indoctrinated to think that if people can do these things better and get these things better, they are known as better human beings. They are more progressive than people who can't do those things. People who just sit in the temple and hear and chant and serve the deity, no. You must be lustful, you must be proud of fame and recognition and getting ahead in life. That is celebrated in today's world. Thinking that all these anarthas will bring happiness and progress. But does any enemy want to bring you happiness and progress? No. All an enemy wants to do is destroy you, is to cause you to suffer. So we have to be careful. If ever we find that inclination coming, wow, I'd like to be known more than I am, I'd like to enjoy my senses better than I am, then know that this is a terrorist in disguise coming to make us suffer. We have to be very, very careful. So how to deal with this specific anartha, the desire, the lust for enjoying the senses, especially sex life, and the desire for personal gain and honor? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that in many other cases, many other types of anarthas, chanting the holy name very sincerely without offenses can deal with them, can actually eradicate the anarthas from the heart. But the few demons that Lord Balaram killed, especially this one, Pralamba, chanting is not enough. I mean, if someone had to edit this class and I said chanting is not enough, I'd be railroaded out of the temple. But really, what you need to deal with this lusty desire is the grace and shelter of the spiritual master. And the grace of, who is Lord Balaram ultimately? That's the only way we can overcome these lusty desires. And then when we get the grace of the spiritual master, the grace of Lord Balaram, we will find that this tendency, this anartha in our hearts will be exposed. The weight of the spiritual master. Guru means heavy. The weight of the spiritual master will force that anartha to be exposed. Just as Pralamba couldn't hold his disguise any longer, he was exposed. And with one simple blow of the spiritual master, just as Srila Prabhupada said, with one kick of my foot, I will move away all your obstacles in life. That was Prabhupada. So the weight of the spiritual master causes our anarthas to be exposed, and the blow of mercy in the form of his instructions of the spiritual master will kill all the anarthas in our heart. So we must be very, very cautious to develop spiritual strength through development of faith, through the practice of our sadhana. And as our spiritual strength grows and grows and grows, we'll find ourselves to be more and more amenable to the position of Lord Balaram in our lives, to the position of the spiritual master in our lives. We will be eager to surrender more and more to the instructions of the spiritual master. And when you do that, when you surrender more and more and develop strength like that, there's a lot of phones ringing today. It's quite interesting. This is also an anartha in the heart, actually. So, anyway, it's also an anartha that's there. To be distracted. There are so many distractions in this world, taking us away from Krishna, taking us away from the service of the spiritual master. So let us be focused, and on this day we can pray directly to Lord Balaram. His mercy will then manifest through the parampara, through the medium of the spiritual master, by the spiritual master's instructions, by service to the spiritual master. And like I said earlier, this movement and expansion of Lord Balaram exists simply to facilitate the development of spiritual strength through the development of faith, through the development and practice of sadhana spiritual practices. So please take advantage of all the facilities Srila Prabhupada's movement offers, especially through the association of devotees, through the service we can share with devotees, through the books, hearing about Krishna, the topics of Krishna consciousness, and the opportunity to share Krishna consciousness to anyone and everyone. And if we do that according to our capacity, you will find that whenever some test comes in our lives, becoming a devotee doesn't mean end to all tests. It means bring on the tests. That's what it means. Bring more and more. So many tests will come our way. But with strength, we will persevere. And this strength comes from Lord Balaram. So I'll stop here. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Anyone? All right, so we can then prepare for the Rajbhoga Arti, followed by the Julan Yatra, swinging pastimes of Radha Radhanath. And in the evening, starting at 5:30, if any of you and those who are watching online will be coming, we're starting at 5:30 with Julan Yatra again until 6:15 only, when the curtains will close. So if you do want to have the last swinging opportunity to swing,